Lyttelton Historical Museum Society, Peter Ruff.
Good afternoon. My name is Peter Ruff. I'm Vice President of the Lyttelton Historical Museum Society and Chair of its Development Subcommittee. Based on my experience with the Museum Society and our quest to build a new museum, I'd like to convey with some images the Society's support for the disposal of council-owned land, especially for suitable new uses, and our support for the continued funding of the Akaroa and Lyttelton Design Review panels. The Lyttelton Museum and its society were established just over 50 years ago. In later years, the museum was housed in a building on Norwich Quay, which was a council-owned building. It was severely damaged in the 2011 earthquakes and subsequently demolished. But luckily, the 95% of the collection was recovered by the Lyttelton Volunteer Fire Brigade and was taken to a recovery centre at the Air Force Museum of New Zealand at Wigram. After the earthquakes, the Museum Society decided they wanted the museum to continue, and we prepared a strategic plan with 3 principal projects. The first project concerned recovery of and management of the collection. The collection was worked over, any damage was made good, it was catalogued, it was photographed, and it was wrapped and made safe, and the collection is still in storage at Wigram, awaiting being housed in a new museum. The second project was to maintain and develop community engagement. We built a website, and the contents page is shown there. We've established a Facebook page and an Instagram site, and the whole of the museum's collection is now able to be viewed online. That includes over 10,000 photographs. Over the years, Society has organised small pop-up exhibitions and online exhibitions on various topics, and in a sense, we've kept the museum alive, even though we haven't had a museum, a building to house our collection in. The third project was to build a new museum, but we needed a site, and we set criteria for a site and identified over a dozen building sites, 10 of which are shown on the aerial photograph. We focused on numbers 3, 4, 5, and 6, which are basically all on London Street, because we wanted to have a high-profile site, a much higher profile site than the previous building in Norwich Quay. In the end, numbers 4, 5 and 6 ended up being unsuitable or unavailable, and number 3 was a site of the former service centre of the council, but it too was damaged and demolished after the earthquakes. We were informed it was likely to be surplus to council requirements and that the council may consider gifting the land to the Museum Society. We applied and were very grateful to have been gifted the site at 33 London Street for the purpose of building a new museum. That was in 2017. The site is on the southern side of London Street, adjacent to the library. It's just past, the library's on the right, it's just past that tree. That's another sort of front-on view with the library on the right-hand side. This is a view today looking down into the site. We've established a small cabin which we use as an office and for displaying small exhibitions. We've established a lawn, some planting, established a seat and placed the cannon there. And prior to the land being gifted, the London Street site being gifted the site, the Society appointed Warren and Marnie as our architects, and we established a brief with them on our sort of spatial requirements. And once the gifting of the site had been finalised, they prepared a concept design report for us. So I'll just jump straight to an image of the proposed museum as viewed from across London Street. There will be an entrance and retail on the ground floor. 2 levels above that would be for exhibitions, and there will be a basement for storage and working on the collection. And the proposal at that stage was to clad the building in weathered Corten steel. In November 2018, our architects and our planner and ourselves presented the concept design to a Lyttelton Design Review panel. They were very favourable in their response to the design. They commended the relationship we'd established with Mana Whetera, that's Ngāti Wheki at Rapaki. They liked the spatial arrangement of the building, and they commended us on the development of a bold and contemporary architectural statement for the township and community of Lyttelton. However, there were some basic recommendations that they made, and one was that we commission a cultural narrative in order to achieve an excellent bicultural design outcome, that we improve the somewhat flat and blank appearance of 3 of the facades, and that we mitigate the effect of a height breach at the rear of the building. So Ngāti Wheki subsequently provided us with a cultural narrative and appointed Nathan Pohiho to the Society Committee as a representative of Ngāti Wheki. Nathan is an artist and assistant curator at the City Council Art Gallery, and he worked with our architects to improve the appearance of the building. So the cladding got changed from the large oblong panels of Corten to 600 by 600 millimetre diagonal panels to create a more fine textured surface and more colour variation. The cladding has a cloak-like feel to it, and the edge of the cladding will have patterns inspired by Maori cloaks, and there will be a carved nutu or entrance feature on the London Street main entrance. The Society was actually very pleased with the original concept, but as a result of the involvement of the Lyttelton Design Review Panel, we are considerably more pleased with how the proposed museum will look. I'd just like to finish with 2 summary statements. One is that the Museum Society has benefited from the land that was surplus to the Council's requirements being gifted to the Society for the purpose of building a new museum. It's really given us a kickstart for the museum project. And the site is a high-profile one in Lyttelton that is ideal for a museum. And based on our experience, the Society supports the disposal of surplus properties from the Council's portfolio, especially for new uses. And finally, just to comment on the Design Review Panel, we consider that the consultation with the Lyttelton Design Review Panel was very worthwhile in terms of the panel giving us some guidance that has led to a much improved design for the proposed museum, which we believe will be a valuable asset to Lyttelton and its community. And we urge that the Council continue to fund design review panels, which we understand involve relatively modest sums, for Akaroa and Lyttelton, especially for new developments of substance, in order that the overall integrity of these settlements is maintained and are enhanced. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for such a detailed submission and for your support for the design panels. You know, it's very helpful to see a practical example of what contribution they can make. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.